Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, 3 Ways to Convert More Sales with Roger Vertannes. Today, you are listening using your computer speaker system by default. You'll have the opportunity to submit questions to Roger by typing them into the questions pane on the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end. Roger is the founder of Leadership Counts, speaker and certified EOS implementer. He has worked with over 400 companies to help their leadership teams to simplify, clarify, and achieve their vision. Roger's philosophy is, do what you say and do the right thing. Paint a vivid picture on what you want out of your business, and work and surround yourself with great people who can help you achieve your vision. Roger's passionate about family business, having led and managed 3 family businesses over the past 25 years. He's also football mad. He served on the board of the Abbotsford Junior Football Club. He loves Liverpool FC and plays golf off 20. I will now hand this over to Roger.
Thanks so much, Ida, and welcome and good morning, everybody. I just want to say thanks to Ida Leno of APPA for bringing us our webinar today and have you join us. So I'm very excited to share some tools with you and some tips and hopefully some nuggets of value on 3 ways to convert more sales. So let's get into it. The first thing I'd like to share with you, sorry, there seems to be an issue with the thing here. Why that is. It's a frozen bot. Sorry guys, frozen screen. Great. Okay, so please start again. It's not happening. Sorry, Ida, the PowerPoint is frozen for some reason.
That's okay. Would you like me to kickstart the poll?
Yes, please. So guys, what I'd like to ask you is, according to Australian stats, about 60% of salespeople are just not getting the results. Now, I work with leadership teams pretty much every day in my session room here in Piermont in Sydney. And sales is always having that sort of painful discussion around, do we have a people problem, a process problem, or a data problem? Meaning, which one is it that's preventing us from actually achieving success in sales? So with 60% of people suffering this issue, what is your key challenge today? These are typically 3 of the ones which we hear from most companies we work with and every day here that I work with teams. But could you please just complete the poll and just hone in onto what is your particular situation and your reality so I can tune into that and help you today. Okay, so our agenda today, thanks for taking part in that poll. Our agenda today is simply a pipeline or a pipe dream. We're going to speak about controlling our pipeline or sales funnel. Control equals income in any business that you run or manage a department in sales. And thirdly, what gets measured gets done is a truth that we believe in here at EOS. And I'd like to share a little bit of how you can get greater controls about what people are doing so that you get more consistent, profitable results. Common frustrations, as I was just mentioning on the poll, is generating leads, defining your ideal target market, your ideal customer, salespeople, a difficult conversation. I call it the elephant in the room. Sometimes we are ignoring the conversation around whether it's the people that are not working and not our processes or target market. Presenting price versus value proposition, a sales process in itself. We should all have one because most of your competitors don't. And also, what are your conversion rates doing and are you satisfied with those? So ideally, by the end of today, what I'd love to have you walk away with is an opportunity to obviously win more business. Moving on to a pipeline or a pipe dream. First of all, I'd like you to just remember one thing. We say at EOS, less is more. Keep it simple. It's in fact one of the 5 leadership abilities that we teach here in our journey with our clients. And the first one is simplify. So before we talk about sales and how we can improve on them and how we can win better, it's really important that you define your vision first. And by vision, we ask leadership teams to answer a simple 8 questions tool. There are 5 questions on this page called the vision page, and there are 3 more questions on the traction page. I'm going to go through them with you as a context, but what I'd love to do is I'm going to share this slide deck with Ida today. So post webinar, you have absolutely every access to have this tool completed. And if you need any help, just reach out. I'm happy to help you. So the question number 1 is, what are your core values? Have those defined, because in sales, when we can define values, the typical ideal customer comes to us as well, knowing that your values are aligned. Second question is, what is your core focus? Made up of 2 parts. Why do you exist as a business or organization? And what is your niche? Obviously, we understand you're a member of the Australasian Promotional Products Association, but what are you really, really brilliant at? And what do you love to do? And keeping your core focus is very important when you sell. What is your 10-year target is the third question. So your long, Jim Collins popularized the term of a big, hairy, audacious goal. Where are you going in business? So you can share it with the people you have in your company, whether it's one more person, could be just yourself, or you could have a whole team as well. So please make sure your vision is shared by all. And then it gets into this pointy stuff around a very simple marketing strategy. And we ask 4 questions within it. What is your target market? So you can almost make a list of businesses that you'd love to work with. What are your 3 uniques, otherwise being defined as differentiators or value propositions, but at EOS we call them 3 uniques because they'll be unique for your unique business. What is your proven process and what is your guarantee? I'm going to come back to the marketing strategy, obviously, because this is about sales. The 5th question on the Vision Traction Organizer, the vision page, is if you have a 10-year target and it's far out there and to the North Star of where we're going, we want to bring it a little bit closer. From 3 short years from now, what will the business look like? It'll be your future date aligned to the calendar or financial year. What's your revenue going to be for the business, your total sales? What will your profit be, either by percentage or a predicted number? What will your sales and marketing measurables look like? So it drives that revenue performance. And then by bullet points, what does the business look like? Number of people, your business core business processes and systems. Where are you located? What products do you sell? What services, etc.? What quality assurances can you give? Client retention strategies, etc. Marketing plan. The 6th question, taking that 3-year picture down to the ground, is what is your 1-year plan? So when you have a vivid 3-year picture, it sets you up for a really nice plan. What are the 3 to 7 strategic goals of your year plan? Same modeling of the business, future date, revenue, profit and measurables, and then 3 to 7, 6 and 7 strategic goals for the year, even 5, probably worst case scenario if you're a small business. If you're a larger business, we typically see that there are normally 6 to 7, but always go on the play of less is more. Once you define your 1-year plan, please make sure you have a sales and marketing strategy within that 1-year plan, because a lot of companies don't put attention on it until it's too late. So try to make sure we build in a sales and marketing plan, and it could be to do with strategic relationships or events or selling different channels, or maybe even introducing new products, whatever it may be for you. ROC simply means what's our quarterly plan, question 7 on this tool. So what is your 90-day plan? Same revenue, profit and measurables for the 90 days, so that we can now take those goals of the year and chunk them down into quarters so we can knock them over and gain traction in the business. The issues list is simply, what are our issues? And it's asking you, what are your frustrations, your barriers, your obstacles to get into your plan to work? They're also opportunities and ideas. So whilst it says issues list, it does include your opportunities and ideas. Very important as a therapy. Get it out there onto the issues list and make it work for you so that you don't lose it from your head, and we capture it and make sure each 90 days we're gaining traction. So that's called a vision traction organizer. As I said, I'll share the tool. I want to hone in back to the marketing strategy and just share a couple of things that some of you will have your target market very well and clearly defined, but most we find have not. So when you do this exercise, we're simply asking for target market to be defined by what's the demographic of your best ideal customer, size, type of businesses. Do you work with any other sectors like government, for example, or maybe even corporates? So make sure we have the demographic really right. Less is more, very nice laser focus on who they are. Then go to your geographic. Where will your sales and marketing effort go to? So where are they located, obviously, geographic. And psychographic, which I feel many people leave out, is what do they think like and what do they value? So what are they thinking in order to purchase a products like yours or services like yours? And also, what do they value? What's important to them, and have that defined. Then once you have your target market, you can literally almost make a list of companies that you would love to go and target, and then align those to your channels and strategies in your marketing dollars and investment. The 3 unique simply means this. You define what is unique to you, and it does 2 things. Most of your competitors won't actually have this in place, but some of them might do the same thing as you do in 1 or 2 of the uniques, but no one will do all 3 as good as you. To do the exercise, you simply ask yourself, how do our best customers actually describe us? Is it to do with your people, your processes, your products, your quality, your follow through, whatever that may be? Have a think about why you're so unique to your customers, and then define them in just 3, sort of almost like a punch bag effect when you can actually articulate it to your ideal prospects. The proven process is your sales process that is outward facing to your prospective customer. So do you have one? Would it be important for you guys to have a repeatable and consistent way of selling? Really important in my book. About 50% of our customers choose that they must have one and they don't have one. And it's a 1-page illustrated design. So I'm going to come back to that in a moment because I'm going to show you mine. Once we have a look at this, I'm just going to show you a couple of new things. So I'm just going to dump in here my target market. So my target market, if you can see how laser focused it is, we work with entrepreneurs who are open-minded, respectful. They're appreciative people, growth orientated. They're feeling frustrated because they're not getting traction in their businesses. They want help, and they're willing to be open, honest, and vulnerable. And if I don't see that when I meet with them, pretty much as a whole package, I'm probably not going to do business with them. And that's just something I've improved over the years of being in sales all my life. My 3 uniques at EOS are we do vision, traction, and team health really well, whereas other coaching and consulting models may just do one of those. We do all 3 in the journey that our clients come on and we move through together. Our proven process is this. We know that we're going to meet them for a 90-minute meeting with their leadership team. They know exactly what's going to happen in that meeting. Then they go through to just 1 day at a time of engagement, and they get the traction into their business, which you need in change management, called the focus day tools. Then they build out their vision building, which was the tool I just shared with you. And they get their vision really clear and simple, and they share it with everybody, and it just aligns everybody to being in the same rowing boat, that they're going to go on one direction together. And sometimes it acts as a filter that you may have the wrong people, and that's okay. We're not here to make everybody happy in life. We just want great people to help us build out our company vision. And then they go into a quarterly and annual pulse, as you can see on the right. So the beauty about having a great sales process is that it does 2 things. It basically raises the confidence of your prospective customer that they're in good hands. And the second thing it does, of course, is it actually differentiates you, because most of your competitors probably don't have one. The guarantee is simple, but not always easy. It's simply asking you, can you actually guarantee your customers with something that removes their fear of adoption when they want to make that buying decision from you? So here's mine. I say to the leaders and the leadership teams when I meet them in the first meeting, I say, look, here are my fees, this is the journey, it's a big commitment, we've got to be in it together. But if you ever feel after the session that you haven't received the value, then you won't pay my fees. I won't even send you an invoice. And they love that. And even though they know I'll follow through on it, fortunately, I've never had to because it keeps me on my toes. All right, so that's the EOS process here, but really think about you having a one-page branded illustration. Because basically, as you can see on this share, sales is really made up of two things. It's whether you've got the right people selling and they've got the techniques and behaviors to sell successfully, and you have a process to back it up so it's repeatable, consistent, and profitable. Isidore Sharp says, when we systemize the predictable for our customers and for ourselves internally, we can humanize the exceptional, meaning that everyone follows the same thing and we can be exceptional in our value and quality. Zig Ziglar said, you'll get what you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And I personally feel that that's what sales is. It's really helping. So who can we help? First of all, we need to be raising our awareness around how much we listen. And in webinars, it's really difficult because when I'm presenting, I don't have any feedback at this moment in time. So I really hope you're listening. But being open and honest, I just look at the market today when I'm a consumer, a buyer, or a B2B purchaser. And it's incredible how many people in sales just talk to me. They don't ask me enough questions. They do get to know me. I'm a pretty friendly guy. So the friendly building of rapport happens pretty naturally. But really when it gets down to the nitty gritty of what I look like, what the product looks like, or what the service looks like, and what my expectations are, it's always a little bit too much chatty from the salesperson. So let's agree that we're going to be really active listeners. We've got so many distractions. We've got a few fears in the marketplace, during COVID and even going into next year, into 21. But the most important thing I've learned is, and where I feel my success comes from, is slow down to speed up. Just sit there with people, get to know them, ask them really personal questions about their business as to how you can add value. What are we trying to achieve? And if you're not good with that on an ad-lib basis, document your questions, write it down, and refer to them in your sales conversations, because it doesn't come naturally to everybody, and I respect that. Active listening, it's a beautiful thing. In fact, I can tell you a very quick story. Last year, coming up to Christmas, we ordered some really good quality keep cups, and they were glass, and they had this silicone band around them, and I thought they looked really cool, and they did. But what I really wanted to make sure to finish off the product was that my logo and my strapline, which is helping leadership teams to gain traction, was going to be really like almost, punchy and throwing it out there from the cup that someone would look at it and almost want to read who's that brand. And, they weren't very accommodating in listening to us as to what we wanted. I was even willing to pay for just one single proof to be mailed to me express. I didn't mind how much it cost. I just wanted it to go right. But everything was a no. And we got the product and we sort of half trusted that it was going to be all right. And guess what happened? We turned up, I don't know, there's 300, 400 cups for our clients. And we looked at the silicone band, and of course it was a really inferior print quality. So what was going to be an exciting project and proud to put it in the hands of our clients, unfortunately turned a little sour. Conversely, we also ordered some Christmas pies with our company's branding on it, with our clients' personalized messaging. And they were so friendly, the supplier. They listened to us. They really got and understood us, detailed all through the sales process. They turned up. They were a brilliant product. And guess what? They've had some good referrals from us to our clients who are probably now contacting them for this year. So listening to understand and not respond is a big thing in sales. Wouldn't you agree? Okay, let's get into some management. So getting real on a few things. Everyone really sort of understands that this is a typical look of a funnel or pipeline in the sense of leads and who we qualify, who we don't. How do we qualify them? Once we qualify them, what's our sales process, meetings, and getting the quotes and converting the business? Just be aware that it's much better to do your predictions for your sales funnel and your pipeline in a 90-day world. That's how we're wired. Don't think too far in the future, but also don't get all panicky with thinking of the next week or month. 90 days world is how businesses should run. So in the next 90 days, work out exactly what your revenue needs to be in order for that one-year plan to come alive. We call those rocks, or the quarterly plan. Understand control equals income. I'm going to go through that a little bit with you. And there's a few parts of controlling the income in sales. When you have a sales conversation, because we're doing so many Zooms and phone calls and less face-to-face, it's harder to build rapport with people. Would you agree? That's what we find that our clients tell us. So what we need to do is we need to try and insist that we can control our process. When you have a Zoom meeting or a phone call with them, when you get to the end of that chat or that discussion, let's not make it about a discussion. Let's have an objective that at the end of that conversation, we're going to define and agree between each other, all going well, what's going to be our next step? Is there another meeting invite to be sent out? Are you expecting something from me? Am I expecting some data from you? Whatever that may be, hold your prospects to account that you are in control. Because when you are in control, they love it. People love being controlled, but most salespeople don't control the outcomes. The buyer does. What I mean by this is, if you're sitting in a car and you've got a really good driver, you sit in the comfort of that passenger seat and you can sometimes potentially fall asleep on a long journey. Conversely, if you've got a lack of confidence driver or someone who's a little bit erratic on the roads, you know damn well not only are you pushing down on the carpet, you just probably want the journey to end. And it's the same thing with sales. If they don't get controlled well, they're probably wanting that to end as soon as possible. So take control. An upfront contract is simply an agreed and defined step after each part of your process. Please ask questions on that later. Please always talk about money. A lot of salespeople have things in their heads before they've gone and done e-sales about people can't afford it. There's COVID now, so there's no money in the bank. It's not true. That's a different conversation in your head or in the heads of your salespeople. So let's just have one conversation, and that's the one with our potential buyers and customers or our current customers to maintain their business. And let's just have one open and honest conversation. We need to know what their budget is. I cannot tell you how many times I've purchased things. I've asked for a brief to be matched and met, and no one ever says to me, so Rog, what's your budget for this particular job, products, whatever? Never been asked. And yet it's one of the typical things which ends up in the black hole, which I've painted on this picture on the left, where the sale just goes into a black hole because now the prospect doesn't want to tell you that it could be too high, not the right time in or whatever. So please always talk about the money. Use Q&A section today to get a little bit real over that. So just avoid the pipeline black hole. This is where you've gone out and you're just emailing quotes left and right and center, lots of quotes going out. The scorecard in sales is telling us that we're not getting enough sales. I call it the black hole. It's quite a common term, and it just means that now we can't get hold of the client or the prospect, and we've lost the business into this sort of no man's land. So please make sure you avoid this. Always present your quotes in person. That's my tip. And the reason you need to do that is you keep your control. So you book a Zoom call, you book a phone call if you have to. Zoom's better, or your own platform, Teams, okay, whatever you use, Google Hangouts. But please make sure you go and explain what value you're going to present and deliver, because it keeps the relationship real, okay? Otherwise, sending a quote out, it's not a good conversion rate methodology. We can talk a little bit about that later. I've been a really big fan of Sandler's selling success. They have a very proven 7-step process. You may have heard of Sandler training before. I'm not one of their strategic partners or anything. I just was in their President's Club for about 18 months, really enjoyed the journey. Great, simple, techniques and behaviors around really quality selling as a professional. And if you want to check them out, you should do. I know they're here in Sydney. and certainly in other states as well. They're a global business, but I have a fantastic network of sales trainers. So if you're ever looking for sales training on the people component, please reach out to me at any time. I'm here to help. Let's get back onto people as well. So to be 100% strong in sales, you must have the right people in the right seats selling. So when we tend to find out issues in sales, a lot of people talk about the CRM's not good, or we don't have a process, or the market's not buying right now. It's not easy, it's uncomfortable, but most of the time we find that it's the people that are not working. So we just have to call it out. So we run an accountability chart at EOS. I can't go into it too deeply, but I want to give you the context so it helps today. We assume that there's going to be a marketing, sales, operations, and finance core function in your business. An integrator is typically the general manager who runs the team, whereas a visionary founder who flies at 30,000 feet, brings 20 ideas into the business, highly emotional, loves the culture because it's their baby, right? They're really good with key relationships. They're not the same as an integrator. They should be not running the business. They should spend time in their role, growing, strategizing, doing the R&D innovation type of stuff. The integrator is the logic communicator, holds the business to its business plan, delivers results, has tougher conversations with people because they have empathy, but they know how to kick people up the butt when things are not going quite well. So having a visionary integrator in a growth-orientated business is critical. But as we build out the sales function, we need to make sure we define the role. So the function is, say, for example, sales manager, account manager, could be just sales executive, business development, whatever you call it in your business. But define their role of what they're going to do. 3 to 7 bullet points, less is more. Put their name on the seat. So for an example, the name would be, if they're a manager, they need to lead, manage, and hold the sales team accountable. Be responsible for the marketing plan. Of course, hit sales number, hopefully exceed them. Follow the sales processes and systems of your business, because there should be no tolerance to non-compliance. Please be really strenuous on that. And obviously account management. We have business coming in the door. We need to try and retain it and maximize the value of our customers over time as raving fans. What we say with right people, right seats is, does the people in the seats, do they truly get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity, time and knowledge to actually be successful in sales? And this includes you if you are the business owner and responsible. So with all due love and respect, if you're not in the right seat, that needs to change as well. You must solve your people issues first, and the rest can fall into place after that, okay? So we call it the GWC tool across the whole organization with roles. I'll just show you, as you build out the whole accountability chart, do we have all the right people in the right seats? So all roles are defined. Do they GWC their role? And if the answer is no, they need to go on the issues list to resolve that issue. There's 2 kinds of people issues across your business. You can have the right person, cultural fit, everybody loves them, but they're actually in the wrong seat, and they could be in sales, but they could be in any seat. They could be in ops or finance. So please make sure if you have a right person in the wrong seat, do we have another seat for this person? Because we don't want to lose them, but we can't create a new seat for somebody if the business doesn't have a seat for them. So if they're just not GWC in that seat, unfortunately, it's a tough conversation, but a true one, and they will appreciate it. Conversely, you can have a wrong person in the right seat. We see a lot of people in sales in this seat. It's wrong person in the right seat. They're culturally misaligned. They're the sort of bad apple. Their behavior's a little bit different to everybody else, but their sales are going really well. So we have founders and CEOs and managers going, oh, what are we going to do with Jake? He's such an idiot, but nobody likes him, but his sales are awesome, so we don't want to lose him. Well, the good news is this. Please exit Jake from your business, and you will not lose the right people in the right seats, which are other people in your company, because if you don't exit the wrong people, unfortunately, the right people can leave. So be careful with that one. Good luck. Okay, getting on to data. The second part of getting more sales is to make sure you actually measure everything. So, lovely one from Jim here. If we have data, let's look at the data. If all we have are opinions in sales, he says, let's go with my opinion. So let's make sure what gets measured gets done. Please have a look at our company scorecard. It's really dead simple. We simply define what measurables across the highest level of the organization needs to look like. You can see I've bolded the sales ones. This is obviously a mock-up. You then put in a weekly goal of what would define success. So for sales calls, it's 50, turns into sales meetings of 10, 50% conversion, 5 proposals, 2 closed per week. That will give us a 13-week, 90-day success with patterns and trends of the actual accountable people recording the 13 weeks of results. And what this does for you is it shows red if it's a miss and black if it's a hit, so we can actually do something about it immediately. If you don't have any KPIs or scorecard at play today, if you don't, please implement this simple spreadsheet. Measurables, you must assign accountability. It needs to be with one person. If 2 people are accountable, then no one's accountable. So make sure one person is accountable. If you have multiple salespeople, then you would just build out the same numbers for each person so that when they come to a sales meeting, of course, they will be feeling, you know, hopefully that winning feeling. And some weeks and other weeks, they will be reporting that they didn't hit the number. If you see a pattern and trend of missing, let's get it back on track next week, not next month, next quarter, or next year, worst case scenario. So this is a very proactive, defining the leading indicators of your scorecard, and sales is one of those typically simple ones which we should be able to control and have things done better. Now, in order to actually find out whether things are working or not, we need to have internal meetings. And one of the things a lot of sales departments and teams and divisions do is they almost sabotage their internal meetings for the sake of customers. And they say, guys, I can't make our meeting this week because I've got to go out and see NAB, or I've got to go out and see a new lead. And it's a bit crazy. And that's where this control equal incomes comes from. We need to have internal meetings, and we need to have them in a 90-day world, but weekly meetings should be a meeting pulse that we keep forever. A recurring meeting invite, same day, same time, starts on time, ends on time, and it has a same agenda. Now, our level 10 meeting agenda, it's a world-class agenda for any meetings in your business. I'm just going to give sales an example for you. We call it the level 10 meeting. It's a weekly meeting, 90 minutes. Yes, that's right, 90. Trust me, implement the level 10 meeting in your company and your world will change forever. All of the clients and customers and even my peers who work with tens of thousands of companies globally tell us that the level 10 meeting has been one of the biggest game changers in their companies for growth and success. What we do is we spend pretty much 25 minutes reporting. Good news is asking each of the team members in the meeting, guys, what's a professional and best of last week? So we inject some energy into the meeting place. People are keeping connected with each other, even if this is on Zoom. So everyone's sharing a personal and professional win of last week. Lovely transition from working on the business to working in the business to working on the business. And then you'll go through that scorecard I just showed you. And for 5 minutes, it's just reporting. Rocks are simply the priorities for the company for the next 90 days. So we have to ask, are they on track or off track to have them completed at the end of the quarter? So they're tasks and projects that are very strategic to the business. We could be building a marketing plan out, for example. So we ask the marketing person or the sales and marketing person, how are you going with that rock? And they should be providing evidence of it coming to life so we know what 100% will look like at the end of the quarter. So that gets really exciting when people can demonstrate improvement in the business. What are our customer employee headlines? Another 5 minutes. Are there good stuff going on? Who's happy? Who's not happy? If we have any headlines, then we'll drop it down to the issues list in a moment so we can expand that conversation and actually discuss and solve it. So really, we just want reporting to happen here with scorecard, ROC review for the quarter, and customer and employee headlines. Go through the to-do list. When we solve issues in EOS, we solve the core issue, not the symptom. But there also becomes an action item called a to-do. And next week when we meet, we expect those to-dos, 90% of them, to be dones, because that is the follow-through of traction to make sure that issue has been solved for good. So you can run through the issues list. You get to IDS, which stands for Identify, Discuss and Solve Your Issues. You should have dropped any scorecard numbers off track to the issues list, people issues, both internal and external, customers, strategic partners, our own staff first, of course. And in your issues list, once you populate the issues, you will have people issues on there, process issues. It's just normal. It's part of being in business. They're just issues. But what we must do is identify, discuss, and solve them. And in sales, if anything's off track and something's not working, we must solve that quickly, because sales pretty much fixes anything in businesses. When it's going well, it will fix a lot of the stuff that we panic, are fearful of, or worrying about at night. Okay, so we run IDS for 60 minutes. At the end of that, we conclude the meeting properly with committing to the to-do list, because they are the solutions to our issues, making sure we cascade messages across the business so that people are informed and coordinated. And we rate the meeting between 1 and 10. Were we open and honest? Did we stay on track? Did we start and finish on time? Did everyone get a perspective and opinion today in the room? Not consensus management, but just being heard with a voice. So that's the level 10 meeting. Again, you can reach out to me anytime you like. So look, this is all about getting results today. I've really given you a bit of a fire hose. I do respect that. But what I'd like to do is hand over to Ida now, and I'd like to try and get some of your reality so we can try and help you actually get a little bit pointy on what you'd love to learn today. If you've got some questions for us, I'd love to help you with those. Ida?
Thank you, Roger. Now, to kickstart our Q&A session, our first question is, how do I make my salesperson or salespeople more accountable?
Very common question. That's a great question, and I'll tell you why it's great. Pretty much I run about 120 sessions in this room here, and it comes up every quarterly meeting. And people are trying to hold people accountable, and the actual answer is you can't. What I say is this: when you become a great leader and you become a great manager and you supply the tools to your people, accountability is actually an outcome. It's a byproduct of being a great leader and manager. Now, I know we haven't got extensive time today, but there is a book that you can reach out on our Traction Library. It is called How to Be a Great Boss, and it teaches you and shows you some fantastic practical tools in there just about your leadership and management. So in sales, let's take it relevant to that. If someone has a defined role on the accountability chart and they have a scorecard and they are meeting weekly based on the results, solving the issues at the core, you will actually have a high level of accountability through the place. Now you need to know one thing, and you probably already know it. The right people in the right seats will love that and elevate to that level of defined role, scorecard, and meetings. But unfortunately, as you may have learned in your past or have experience with today, the wrong people for your business and in sales would not enjoy that transparency and accountability, and they will feel very, very uncomfortable with it. But that's okay, because we're not here to make people comfortable. We're here to make people successful. So that's how it is. It's leadership and management, and accountability will be a byproduct. Ida?
Thank you for that. Our next question is, what do I do when I've sent out a quote, but the prospect is not returning my calls or replying to emails?
So that's the sales black hole one, right? Which I put up earlier around controlling the process. So what I've seen many companies that I work with do, and I always sort of interrogate what's happening when we actually sell. And you probably know this. I don't know why. When I actually grew up, I was always meeting people. I was literally on the road, right? So my whole schedule for the week would be face-to-face meetings. And I know the world's changed, but we can't be an email business. If we're going to be asked by the buyer, who by the way wants to keep control of the process, they will ask you all the time to send them the quote, or can you give us your best price, or can you please submit a proposal? That's okay. That's part of the process if it is. And if it is, great, but book a meeting with them in order to run through the proposal. If they actually reject it, just say to them, just going to mock it up here, I'm just going, Ida, I always present my proposals. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to send you a meeting invite. It will be about 30 minutes. What's a good time for you to book that in? And when you present quotes, proposals, and submissions, you'll see that you can have the real conversations there, and you won't get into this black hole where you've just sent quotes and proposals out. And guess what happens? The buyer's got the information that they've come for in the first place, and now we don't know whether we're actually going to, do business with each other. So I hope that helps. Ida, I think that's really the critical one, is to control the process and keep the presenting going, because it builds more rapport and trust.
That's great. Now, our next question is, as a business owner, do you have a system you follow to keep on top of the information you need to know daily, weekly, monthly, etc.? And what is the information we should be looking at regularly?
Yeah, what a cracker. Well, obviously a lot of people talk about systems and CRMs, customer relationship management. I think that my biggest thing, as you can see on my screen, is I love to keep things real. I don't want to be someone I'm not. I don't want to run systems that are complex. I just want to keep them simple. So I think once you define what your minimum information you need in order to track things, it should be at least, I think one thing people, if you're going to be a really professional salesperson, I populate my CRM system with everything. What are my customers' wives' names? What's the children's names? When are their birthdays? Do they have an anniversary coming up? Did they move home or office? I record everything, whether it's in my phone or on the CRM, it syncs, and it just allows me to have a playbook. And I take a lot of time to invest in that. But once the integrity of data is there, it's such a beautiful thing to keep track. Apart from the CRM information, you need to define your sales process and make sure that scorecard I shared with you today follows the activities that will lead to your results that you desire and plan for. So less is more. Don't record everything, but record things about people and update your CRM. A lot of people still use spreadsheets. However, they're not user-friendly, they're not interactive, they don't necessarily really, attract engagement when they're shared. So a very simple CRM, which is non-invasive and less expensive. HubSpot tends to be really good. It's pretty cheap, in the sense, I don't like to say cheap, but it's cost effective, and it just gives you the nice effective way of controlling your data and your processes and your engagement with your clients from a sales and marketing perspective. I hope that's helped.
That's great. And lastly, we never seem to have enough quality leads, but I'm listening to you today and now asking myself, how do I really know? What is your advice on this?
That's a really good question. And I have to be careful how to answer this, because it can actually be different for different businesses and industries. But let's just talk on what I hear generally. When you run that scorecard, in fact, when you run the Vision Traction Organizer, if we go all the way back to the vision, we spoke about this scorecard. When we actually do the sales scorecard and we talk about sales calls, we haven't put in this scorecard, well, how many leads do we need in order to get to the sales calls? So one of the things you need to do from a marketing perspective is to strategize, what are our channels? There's normally 1 to 3 main key channels of marketing to put leads into your pipeline for us to qualify. But once you get those channels, you need to predict how many leads we expect reasonably and realistically, and put it on your scorecard and make sure they're on there so we can track the leads incoming, inbound. Once you do that, we can see what conversion rates are happening. And then we can, in our meetings, the weekly meeting, the level 10, we can decide whether leads are working or not working. Because I think let me just give you a little story. I've got a client that's been growing 25% year on year for the last 4 years. We typically work with clients for about 2, and then we let them go because we want them to graduate and stand on their own 2 feet. I love that. But these guys have been working with me for 4 years. Their sales manager just left. And what they found out when she left is they actually found out that when the leads issues came up in the meetings, they weren't actually trying to discuss and solve the leads issue. They were going back to marketing and simply saying, can we have more leads? So of course, the marketing people were listening to sales, and guess what was happening? They're literally just having these conversations that they're dealing with a symptom. We don't have enough leads. The core issue was that sales were not onto the leads either fast enough, so they weren't being open and honest about can they handle the amount of leads that were actually coming in, and also they weren't giving marketing feedback and transparency on the quality of leads and conversion rates. So it was all a little bit too grey. So please, with leads, find out, with me, I use a 4-2-1 model. For every lead I get, for every 4 leads I get, I will typically convert 2 of them because they're the ones I probably want to work with and are right to work with. So it's very disciplined to say no to some business. Some people you can't help. And being a helper myself, I grew up as one of 10 kids. So we're always a very generous, giving, people-pleasing type of family. That was our culture. So, and if you're like that, you'll probably be saying yes to a lot of leads. So be really, really laser focused. For 4 leads, I convert them into 2 90-minute meetings, and most of the time I'll convert both. But if I convert 1, I still know that 50% conversion rate on my model will give me plenty of customers and clients to work with that will keep me busy and keep my revenues, profits, and my business gaining the traction I need it to. So it's a little bit of a 3-way approach. Define your process, measure your leads quality, measure your leads conversion rate. And once you do that, the patterns and trend will give you some directives on what to solve.
That's great. Thank you, Roger, for answering these questions, and thank you to all our participants that have submitted them. If you have any questions for Roger that come to mind after the presentation, please send them through to Vertannes@leadershipcounts.com.au. Over the coming days, I will send you an email with a link to view today's recording, and I'll also include Roger's PowerPoint presentation along with his email address. I believe, yep, so Roger's just placed his email address and contact details on your screen at the moment. Thank you once again, Roger, and on behalf of APPA, thank you for all our participants in joining us today, and I hope you all have a great afternoon. Thank you once again.
Thanks, Ida.